Hello, this is The Shift with Frida Liu. Why The Shift? Because we all have to make the shift towards sustainability, whether it's a big shift or a small shift. Now, Eclimo 𝗛𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃 is a 100% Malaysian-owned EV company founded in June 2008 to champion the nation's contributions towards sustainable energy. So initially embarking on green technology research and development, Eclimo soon focused its efforts on productization of sustainable energy, building its way towards manufacturing electric motorcycles and lithium-ion battery packs and modules. I'm here with Dato Dennis Chuah, founder of Eclimo. Hello, Dato. Good to have you here. You've come all the way from Penang, so thank you. So it's been 15 years, and you think 2008, no one's talking about this, right? Was this the future you envisioned, or do you think we could be further ahead?
Thank you, Fred. Giving the opportunity for me to share about Eclimo. First of all, Eclimo stands for Eco-Life Mobility. When I started this in year 2008, but before that, I already ventured into lithium polymer batteries since year 2000. I started with a battery, rechargeable battery. Then only I go into the vehicle. Where many believe that when you develop a vehicle, then only you look for the battery.
Okay.
But for me, I have the confidence of building the battery to run a vehicle,
Right.
which is within my own capability. I go into two-wheelers. So, I myself from Penang, everybody's using motorbikes or two-wheelers, and I believe that with the batteries that I have, I'm able to develop a two-wheelers which can run minimum 100 km/h. And even though you stay in the island, you still need the range. So I started with a very basic of per charge.
Okay.
You can run like 100 km.
Right.
So that's how I from the battery. Then only I developed into the two-wheelers.
Right.
But from there, not only on the battery, it actually to my long journey, and also caught my surprise that it takes more than what I expected. So it takes me about five years to do R&D.
Okay.
With the 100 km/h, with the charging of 4 hours to be able to take you to 100 km. And on top of that, you still have like motor, the powertrain. The powertrain which have to be small enough, light enough, and that you are able to direct drive it.
Right.
Why I need a direct drive it is to be able to reduce the maintenance, to reduce the component use.
Okay.
For instance, like the motor is actually attached to the wheel. I call it in-wheel. And with that in-wheel, you eliminate the sprocket, you eliminate the chain, eliminate gearbox. With that, with that simple setup,
Right.
your cost of maintenance is even lower.
Right.
So 5 years later, I got the product ready, spent tens of millions, and so with the belief that during that time, not because of the sustainability, but it's because of lower cost of riding,
Right.
and lower cost of maintenance. That's how it drive me to develop the two-wheelers.
Right.
Yeah.
So the time. Wait. Okay. So now, when you were doing that, you didn't really have that in mind, but of course it evolved and everything. And you look at the landscape in Malaysia at the moment. Suddenly, everyone's talking about EVs, right? So do you feel that we're on track, or we should have been further ahead when it comes to EVs?
I would say that even though right now it's almost like coming to 15 years, we're definitely on track.
Okay.
Now the adoptions are better, the interests are higher. But after I complete the 5 years R&D, managed to get our Road Transport Authority like JPJ to allow the vehicle to be registered with number plates, with road tax, with registration card. So legally running on the road.
Okay.
5 years later, I managed to get the approval from JPJ. And with that, just imagine that 2013, I managed to secure customer, which is my first customer I delivered to KFC on August 2013.
Okay.
So during that time, you need to convince a customer that it's cost savings to use the electric two-wheelers. So it's not about cutting of carbon emissions. It's not about sustainability. It's about cost savings for customer to choose electric compared to combustions. So that's how I started.
Okay, so it was more the people weren't thinking sustainable. People were thinking, as always, I think in business, right, how you can cut costs and all that. And of course, I know that you've also worked with your business is very B2B, right? And I guess it makes sense, right? How many of your bikes are in Malaysia and also overseas?
I very much focus in Malaysia. It's also because even though I've experience in battery or rechargeable battery, but I'm during that time I'm gaining my experience on vehicle.
Right.
So I'm very focused in Malaysia first before I go overseas. And when we develop this product, for convenience or for customer to be able to accept the product, for instance, like charging. Charging of the vehicle, it may take 4 hours to charge.
Right.
But you don't have to travel to any of the petrol station, which can be 2 to 5 kilometers away. Charging, you're only utilizing the wall plugs, the 3-pin plugs. So it's so convenient for customer. For people do not ride like 24 hours on the vehicle. The moment that they stop, because of its lithium, you can charge anytime, even though that you don't utilize the whole power. So from there, with a very convenient and low maintenance, which they don't have to, the bike does not so-called like break down so often or send it for service. It's all happened in the shops where just plug and play. So from there, customer have confidence, and because of I started with KFC, then it's followed by some other customers using it for B2B, and also B2G, and government agencies like local enforcement officer, from Malacca, from Johor, from Penang, or from Selangor, the enforcement officer are using it. Why? Because I make it so convenient that if you do not wish to purchase the bike, you can rent it from me. So I provide leasing. So I do have B2B and B2G.
Right. So the most recent one I heard is of course post Malaysia, right? So with that, how many are now on the road?
So far, like they're already almost coming to 1,000 bikes on the road. I know that the quantity is small, but it's a big numbers for me as a newcomers in electric two-wheelers or electric motorcycles. With Malaysia, we have 13 million registered bike. We have almost 500,000 new user every year. So 1,000 is big, but we have a lot more to achieve.
Right. Yes, of course, that change and all that, right? So in terms of your USP, your technology USP, it took time to develop, obviously, right? And what is so unique about your technology?
Well, I think most of the customers are using it. One thing I want to share is that the challenge in Malaysia, comparing to neighboring country, our petrol are subsidized. Subsidized
not
petrol.
A problem. So problem is not a problem, right? Okay.
So it makes, you need to be able to compete with their combustion bike, which is using petrol is lower cost. Petrol probably take you 3 minutes, pump 3 liter can give you 100 kilometers. Electric, electric maybe you charge 4 hours can give you 100 kilometers. So there is still people interested, thinking about it, whether they want to convert now or convert later. But the unique of it is that electric is so convenient, it's so quiet. You no longer travel to service your bike. Each time when you run maybe 3,000 or 5,000 kilometers, you need to change lubricant oil. You need to maintain your chain, sprocket, gearbox. Right now, electric, totally, you don't have to worry about all this. So what you need to take care? Probably the brakes, the charging, bearings, or tires. These are all the wear and tear items. And this will make it lower cost to operate, to own. One of the I would say that I sustain until today because of if you look at globally, the technologies that I apply, we are ahead of most of the companies.
Okay.
For instance, like we are using a very low energy to be able to run 100 km/h speeds. So that is also one of the technology. We have a charger on board, which is only using a 3-pin plug to charge. Anywhere that you go, you can find 3-pin plug.
Right.
I share with a lot of people whereby you still need to have an effort to go petrol station.
Yes.
But right now, electricity is everywhere. Yeah.
Okay,
so that's how.
But at the moment it's still not in the mindset of consumer, but B2B it makes sense, right? Because they know they can just go wherever and get it charged, right? I want to talk about what happens with the battery after that, right? So that's also another thing that people bring up.
Right. That's why before we go into the second life of the battery, B2C is not only about the vehicle.
Right.
It's about whether you can be easily purchase the bike. You need a showroom. After you purchase the bike, whether you can get spare parts. So B2C, you still need a lot of infrastructure and also the supply chain. So when you come to consumer purchase bike, you still need to have a higher purchase. Right. Then with that, people are worried about the major thing like range anxiety.
Yes.
How much after the end of life of the battery, how much will it cost to change the battery?
Okay.
Yeah. So these are where to charge. Most of the people using two-wheelers, they stay in multi-story apartments or condominiums. So these are the area where infrastructure, but battery itself, even though it can able to give you until 8 years, you still have a power that you can able to recycle the battery.
Okay.
Recycling the battery, you can put it into a second life. There is still a value for you to be able to refurbish the battery and put the original battery to a second life, which is the energy storage. So what I do is that because we design the battery from scratch, we can able to refurbish the battery and we make it into a small generator.
Okay.
Just like a power generator or power bank.
Okay.
We refurbish it and supply to like Pasar Malam, night market.
Right.
Or even the urbans, the remote villages where do not have electricity. You can actually use this generator and power lights or fan. Okay. So that is a second life. But of course, after the second life, you still talk about like after 5 years later, can you able to recycle lithium cells? Yes, lithium cells is recyclable.
Okay.
So you can able to recycle back the cobalts or the materials and make into battery back.
I know you started this program where people could use it to, is enough power to for coffee, steam food and that kind of thing as well. It's like a business as well.
Yeah. So when for me in the business model, leasing it to delivery for delivery, leasing it for agencies, enforcement, I can even able to provide power, meaning that it can provide AC power to power your coffee machine.
Right.
To power an oven. So you can actually sell coffee or you can actually sell satay. So it's like a food truck, but this is now a food bike.
Okay.
So this is how convenient that because it's our own research, we can actually convert that into whoever that wanted to work as a micro entrepreneurs.
Okay. Yeah. So now I'm sure there's a lot of demand for your bikes overseas as well. And so what's why are you holding back for overseas at the moment?
I think when you talk about overseas, definitely ASEAN country have a very, very big market.
Right.
We have almost ASEAN country alone, we have almost 680 million population.
Yep.
We have almost 13 million new users every year.
Okay.
So the potential of it is definitely amazing, a big market. But we need to be able to, when we sell a product, we need to be able to have a proper setup.
Right.
You need to be able to service the bike. You need to have a spare parts after 10 years. People were worried that after I buy this, 3 years later,
Yes.
5 years later, what happened?
Right.
So we need to be able to ready before we go to overseas
Right.
market. But definitely, overseas market is one of my target to enter. So next year onwards, probably you will see some of the countries that have having Eclimo bike.
I just want to ask you as well, Dato, I suppose, what else do you feel needs to be done in Malaysia so that we are ready, right? Is it what more, right, in terms of policies or incentives, so that businesses and individuals will take this on? Because right now it's still a cost thing, right?
Yeah,
Which is
right.
which is great, but we're still not thinking sustainably.
You see, when I started 13 years ago or 15 years ago, the government policy is pretty supporting the startup or the industry. I do, even though it's all coming from my own investment, I do have government agencies or government supporting, providing grants to do development. So I continuously improve the product, improve the technology. And on top of that, the policy today, especially for electric vehicle, the government are putting more efforts into providing incentive benefits. Last year onwards, anything that for electric vehicle, government are giving like tax exemptions, like
Right.
duty exemption, excise duty exemptions. And on top of that, if you are local companies, you get better support from the governments, which you can actually apply for grants.
Right.
Yeah. So government definitely policies are very friendly right now.
Okay.
Going forward, you will see more policies, more benefits or more incentive coming from the government.
And it's great,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you've been doing this for 15 years. So there are things in place. I think there is political will. There is, so I think that's a great step forward. Thank you for sharing this story again. I always find it so fascinating, because it's something that was started 15 years ago, how you've evolved as well. I've been speaking to Dato Dennis Chuah from Eclimo. And of course, this is Shift with Frida Liu.